we've got the agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's been passed. And approval of the minutes.
Will you give me just 1 minute?
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Here you go.
Thank you.
All right, here you go. I saw that Olivia was looking through this pile and I knew it was not the right one. I got that Susanna made the motion and I missed who seconded because
I did.
okay. All right, thank you.
And we've got the minutes in front of us. I was not at the meeting last month. But do I have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
So moved.
John, a second?
Second.
All in favor? The minutes have been approved, so programs and facilities update, Christie.
Okay, so this is our first discuss item for where I need some feedback from you guys. I passed out some scrap paper. I don't know if everybody got some, but if you need some, right on the back here. We need to decide the 50-50 dates that the town wants to take. And when I said we need to decide, I basically need to know when the most of you are in town that we can have good representation going through the crowd. We do one in this fiscal year and one in next fiscal year. So I need to pick one date before July 1st. It would be Memorial Day weekend. I know we'll have a lot of participants here. Do you want a chair?
Oh, no, I'm good. I've been sitting all day.
Okay. I know we'll have a lot of people in the crowd, but I don't know what the schedule for the board is. But that one's available, or there's the 7th through the 28th. I will tell you, as far as feedback that I can give, June 7th, Cat 5 is a new band for us, but I have heard really positive things about them. They really had a show-stopping performance at Ocean Isle last year. Not that all our bands aren't good, but the Extraordinaires brought a big crowd last year, and the main event brings a big crowd. So that would be 7, 14, 28. So I'm not sure about board feedback, but Karen, I'll let you take over with leading discussion.
Okay.
I will be on the 7th and the 14th.
Well, let's start with who's available on Memorial Day weekend, the 31st. So we've got Olivia and Dolly, and so we've got 5 that are available on Memorial Day weekend. John, are you available Memorial Day weekend?
He's checking.
Oh, okay. Actually, I'm available. I didn't think I was, but I screwed it up.
This should be good.
You okay?
Is that
You're
John's
right.
okay.
Memorial? It's Memorial? It's Memorial?
Memorial's the 24th.
I know, but is it well attended?
It's very well attended.
Yeah, well, they're all available.
So, do we need to go any further than that?
You know,
Wait, what day is the
24th of May.
24th of May? Okay.
Okay, so do we want me to go ahead and sign up for, because I really haven't sent it out to groups to sign on yet. I did talk to Tony Marwitz with Turtle Patrol, but that's because he emailed me.
Can I just say something about Turtle Patrol?
Mm-hmm.
Tony's going to be giving up that position, so there'll be a new person within the next month or so.
Okay.
Okay? And I'll let you know who that is.
And that
So
would
we're
be
good
at
for the
6
24th.
at 6:30, Christie, or 6:15, or
6 o'clock if you can plan to
6,
show up
okay.
at 6. We can start, the concert starts at 6:30, but we can start
okay.
doing stuff by 6.
Do you need help getting up the tent or anything like that?
Make it over here at 5:45.
Yeah, I try to get an officer on duty to help me earlier in the day when
And
I
it
get
being
here.
the first one, maybe
Yeah.
we should just get there a little earlier, you know? Okay.
Okay, so then Karen, if you guys can talk through which one you
After
would like
July?
after July. So we have the 19th through the 6th available.
In July.
in July
Through the
So-
6th of,
of September,
September.
which
Okay.
would be Labor Day weekend. So the bands are Blackwater Band, the Embers, Carolina Breakers, Too Much Sylvia, Tim Clark, the Entertainers, Gary Louder, and the Imitations.
What's the date of Too Much Sylvia?
Too Much Sylvia is August 9th.
And that's attended, correct?
Well, so would the Embers, right?
I think they are.
The Embers will probably draw more just because of the timing. The Embers are July 26th, and there's just more people here. Once you turn the corner to August, the Too Much Sylvia
Oh,
does
you're
draw
right,
a
because-
large crowd, but people start going back.
Before teachers and most teachers and students.
Yeah.
I'm here.
And the 9th, before teachers and students.
But the
go
night is
back.
before much. If I was you guys, I wouldn't go past the night because I don't think we'll get a big deal. It's not based on the bands at all. I'm not saying anything negative about bands. It's just the number of people still here. So,
So, do we like the 9th?
Ninth's good with me. August 9th.
August 9th, right. How about you, Olivia and Jen?
It should work okay.
I
okay.
think that's far enough in advance. If I put it on my calendar, then it's,
I'm not going to go rock, so.
okay, we're gonna go for the 9th then.
Okay, so now what I'll do is send an email to the rest of the town groups that normally participate to tell them that if they miss the schedule coming out, that it's open and they can email me about dates.
Sounds good.
And I will say this, if you get, I know a couple of occasions, groups that have taken them have not sent a lot of people. And I know that doesn't help the town when, call us, Christie, if you feel like you're short.
When we're just there, you can tap us on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Say, well, you need some extra help.
Because I don't mind helping another night if they're, and
You
I know of 2 cases last year, I think.
But you don't know until that night if they're
Right,
short.
that's
Right.
what I'm saying, but
Well, for those that are close by.
don't think that you've got to not call us because it's late notice.
Okay,
Good point, good point. You know, we're a working board.
Right.
okay, and then I passed out, and we put it online, some flyers about next week's race. Just to recap, or in case I didn't say this last month, the artist is going to come in this weekend and do the prep work for the lines. And then next weekend, when people show up, it'll actually be the start of the paint by number. It was Dolly, who I believe in last year's meeting said when we were planning to do this last year and then we didn't, if we do this, we need to make sure to submit it for a state award. So it's in my thinking cap that when we get this done, to take lots of pictures and send it in.
And you got my email that Lewis and I can't be there.
I did get that email.
Is this the rendering?
It is for the side, but that's just the side where the bathroom doors are. There's a whole nother section that faces the waterway. Um, as far as I did need to go back over the number of volunteers that could be here. Their director, executive director, sent out to their board and people that follow them a sign-up sheet. And I looked at that sign-up sheet, and what I did was to just simply say, I had members of my board say they could help, and we will take intersections. And so our intersections are going to be slightly different than what she had down based on mine and Jeremy's conversations of where we need people. So if you told me that you could work on next Saturday the 14th, if you will see me, or we can take the time to do it now, I can tell you where I need somebody at an intersection.
I think I told you I could be there, didn't I, Christine?
I think so.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys want to do that here in case somebody wants to switch, or if you want to see me afterwards. It's the board's choice.
You can tell us now.
Okay, I need one person at Roger and Brunswick. Okay, and you are I'll print a map out, but we're basically sending people straight back up from High Point for this one, John. So you're making sure they don't turn at Roger to go towards Gerda. I need one at Boyd in Brunswick.
What'd you say, Boyd?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me switch to that one.
I could do Roger and Brunswick then.
Okay. And the other things that you guys will have to worry about there is car traffic for people coming down those side streets to make sure that they're stopping for the racers. High Point and OVW. See anybody left that said they could help? If not, are you here?
I'm planning to go.
Okay. You want to do High Point and OVW? Okay, there's planning to be an officer there. We've had some of our officers hit with the flu, so right now we are
Oh.
down. But you're no, you're waving off.
Okay,
You're
I'm
going
sorry, I
down
just
to
looked at my
High Point.
calendar, marked me off, I'm out of town that day.
That's fine.
I'm sorry.
I could put Mark there.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
that's okay. So there's an officer that's planning to be there, but you're just making sure that they cheering them on, Susanna, and making sure they make that turn. I mean, they should follow the officer. He's got traffic, is I guess what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
And then, are you here, Candace, or no? Okay. Are you here, Olivia, or no?
I can.
Okay. So
What
the
else do you need?
I need High Point and Brunswick.
I might be able to
I
find
might
somebody
be-
else, or if,
Well, I can check with Mac.
Okay.
High Point in Brunswick, down here, to turn them. Because they're gonna go down,
They're-
they're gonna go down and turn and come back up.
They're gonna come up to Rothschild and turn, get on the boulevard. They're gonna go all the way down to High Point, which is where you'll be. You're gonna turn them on High Point. So the person at High Point in Brunswick is sending them all down High Point because they have to go all the way down the waterway to the end, and then
Oh,
come
okay.
back. And then on their way back, they're sending them up Brunswick.
Okay, so why, since Mac and I will be in close proximity, put Mac there and I'll let you know this afternoon if he can't be here.
Okay.
I'll text you. So that's High Point in Brunswick.
Yes.
and if he can't do it, Christy, give me a call and I can recruit somebody.
Okay.
That's just like 4 houses apart.
Mm-hmm.
It's not far, yeah.
And I'm going to start in the park with some pictures and things that I think the mayor and is going to be over there, and probably David too. And with the getting started with the ceremony, and then I can take a point too. But right now I'm going to start over. in
What
the
time
park.
do you want us in position?
It starts at 10, and some of them are very fast, so I would be in place by 10.
Okay. Oh, that was amazing last time. It's like,
Yeah,
started,
that's
here
a
they
fun
started
race.
showing up, then there's those that are like, why am I doing this, Dad?
Our dad saying, why am I doing this?
And in the event that something were to happen and the race route would have to be changed due to something at the chapel, I'll let y'all know where else to go besides this. But right now, this is the route.
And so, is there anything we can do with the pay by number? Or is there any help you need
I'll-
there?
Not right now, but I would encourage everybody that's going to come to go by there and
Come
do
back
that.
and hang out?
Yeah, because pre-registration is at 9. I don't have a good understanding if they're going to start letting people paint at 9. But I would come by before or after and participate. I think it's pretty cool, and hopefully everybody will have that can be here can put their hand on it to say they were a part of it.
When the Arts Council is setting up, are they going to need anything from in here, or are they bringing all their own stuff? Is there any reason for us to be here earlier than that and then go to our station?
Not that I found out so far, but if I get here that morning and there's trouble, don't worry. I will send out some Mayday texts. And then, did you guys have any more questions on that race? I met with the Search 5K people this week. That race is going to be April 4th. And it's going to start at 9 and registration will be at 8. This will be, they talked to me and they said they've done surveys the last 3 times. And see, normally I'm at the start and then I leave and go cover an intersection. So I was not a part of this survey process. But they said this will be the last race where they do the color because the color is so expensive. that they feel like they're limiting themselves with the money that they can turn back into the school system, because they give first, second, and third prize to the ratio of students from each school. They use a ratio so that those schools that have like 600 students can be competitive with those that have less, but it's the schools that get the most kids here, they give out first, second, and third prize. And right now they don't feel like they are turning enough back in. So they're going to eliminate color after the April race. And so unless a sponsor picks that up, that they said they have a 95 or 98% survey response that says that people would still participate without the color.
That's what I was wondering.
That's good.
And it starts at what time?
It's going to start at 9. And I felt like and I realized that Holden Beach is in this end of the county, but I felt like that schools like Jessie May and Virginia Williamson and Union and West were all strongly represented in the past, and that the other parts of the county may have a few here. So I reached out to the communications director for the school system and asked that he make it 2 times a part of his Friday announcements, because all the parents get a Friday afternoon at 5:30 call that says what's going on the next week in the school system. And so he usually highlights like 5 things in the community, and I asked that we be included at least twice between now and race day.
Good job.
Now, do you need us for that race?
Anybody that can volunteer, I do need help with that race as well.
We will be here, Louis and I, on April 4th. And it's starting at what time did you say?
It starts at 9. They're going an hour earlier. Time will have changed by then.
Okay. And you'll give us assignments?
I will.
Okay.
I'll wait to hear from you guys by email, and then I'll give you assignments.
So closer to the time you'll reach to us. And so we're going to meet our regular time next month.
We are. The last thing that I think that we need to kind of talk through is brand new information to me. I'm kind of going to share with you how it came about, because it's kind of funny. If one thing that this town staff is, I'll say that we're efficient. I sent I'm checking the date for that next meeting. It would be the 2nd. I sent an email to Heather and Carrie yesterday with information for the blast and the water bill. And including with that is the egg hunt. We purposely don't release the egg hunt till a month in advance, because it's basically a part-time job answering the phone with people calling in. And I learned after I sent that email from Miss Heather that with the personnel policy change that our holiday changed. And instead of the town's holiday for employees being the Easter Monday, it is now Good Friday. And I don't care for myself, but I do care for the staff. And I don't want Heather showing up to help that night. So when I came into this meeting today, what I was going to do is have us work through, since it hasn't gone out yet, do we change the day? How many board members were going to be here that could help me if we still stayed with that day? But in the meantime, Miss Carrie printed the water bills already. So
It is set.
it is set, because we are not going to waste all those pieces of paper and reprint them. It will be Friday night, April 10th, no matter how many people can be here to help. But and that's historically when we've had it, Good Friday night. But I do think that we need to consider what we want to do in the future. And I don't know if that's like maybe when you guys are in here that night working, if you have informal discussions with people to see if people stay over or mainly here for the week, or what we need to do about the egg hunt. But it is a town holiday change. The negatives that I see are staff having to come in to help. I'm not sure how that works with the police, but they normally have more than one officer here. So at holiday, it's more than just overtime pay at that point. And then if people have questions that day, there's nobody to answer the phone.
Well, Christy, because of the dates of Easter, that varies. I don't think you can set it in stone, but
What she's saying though is that
This-
it's
this-
that Friday.
Yeah, this year, but moving forward, it sounds like we don't have any options because it's been
for this year.
communicated this year, but I'm talking about in the future. Depending on where it falls, I don't see anything like, ideally, we would all have been here the week before, supposedly for a meeting. If you did it the week before the week of Easter, do it Holy Week, which would be the Friday of Holy Week, be
Yeah.
the week before Holy Week. And, if that would work, I don't know, I mean, people are ramped up for a holiday before, a day or two before. But I'm like you, I don't think staff, as much as they give of themselves over and beyond an extra time, that they do any of that. And if we can avoid it, but you'll have to look at it year by year because of the way Easter falls. I mean, a lot of us, and selfishly, I probably will not be here because I usually travel sometime around Thursday or Friday before Easter to be with my daughter's family. And some of the others of us may be traveling.
Yeah.
And it may be a way to control numbers too by doing that. What time?
It's going to start at 7. The first group would go out at 7.
I thought we did it earlier than that.
Last year was a cluster.
Yeah, last year we had to move it to Saturday because of inclement weather.
Okay.
And we did advertise that inclement weather date would be Saturday. So if you guys can look at your calendars and see if you are here, and then just email me if you're around for Friday night, and then go ahead and send if you're around for Saturday too, and then that way I know how many volunteers I need to recruit.
Well, Ann and Peggy,
Usually
Usually
help.
help.
Yeah, I need to reach
and
out to
if
them.
you let them know early enough, they could get some GFWC people to help also. And I might, this is just a suggestion, the people that we allow to sell tickets for the concert series to get money, ask for each of them to send one volunteer for that night. If they can. I'm not demanding it, but it would be nice if they had some payback on occasion.
Some
Investment,
yeah.
yeah. Or the Merchants Association might send a volunteer or two to help. And really make it a community involvement. That's just a suggestion.
Olivia, you can be the Easter
Oh,
Bunny.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Can I be the Easter Bunny again?
I would love for you to be the Easter Bunny because our Easter Bunny's not going to be able to currently do that.
Okay.
Our other Easter Bunny.
Okay.
I didn't know there was another Easter Bunny. I thought there was only
I
one.
thought she was it.
Before last year, before Olivia did it, Jessica was the Easter Bunny.
Oh, okay.
And Nick was one year, wasn't he? Wasn't Nick?
Oh,
Yeah, I think he did.
was. I think he was.
Yeah, I could be your own
I don't want that. That's like to come snuggle with you.
Okay, and then the last thing that I had, unless y'all have more questions about the egg hunt or talking through that, is unless I get a lot of pushback from you guys talking to me in the meantime or today, I spoke to David, and I believe that in the we're hearing a lot about revenue, and I don't think we're going to make a ton of revenue from this, but I will say that two things. The pavilion fee to rent the pavilion for all day has been the same since I got here, and I think it's really low. And when the picnic shelter, we put the picnic shelter in, I did look at fees for other places in the area, but right now the fee to rent the picnic shelter is $75 for 4 hours, and the fee to rent the pavilion is $75 for all day.
Wow.
So I think that I'm going to recommend for both of those to go up slightly. And I also think that I just didn't want this to be breaking news when we start budget workshops, because this involves programs and facilities. I also think that whereas we cannot tell a contract instructor what they will charge for a class, since I am no longer teaching yoga, in which all the money went back to the town because I was in here teaching. Now that we have contract instructors and the town just gets a percentage of that and they get a percentage, I think that we need to take that fee to, with the instructor input, because they do get to set their fees, but I think it needs to be more in line with 4 and 5 than 2 and 3.
It's still a bargain.
Yeah. As the town as the entity can't tell them what to charge, so they may come forward with something different, but I believe that, I know the picnic shelter and I know the pavilion is listed in the fee schedule for the town, which means when the commissioners are passing the budget, they would have to change it. So those are things that I plan to put forth unless I hear this board saying that's not a good idea.
Well, I think that's
But what about the
I think
area-
you could double that pavilion fee, my
Oh,
goodness.
yes, for all day? At least. What about the little park that's really cute, that little park that's near you? Isn't that little park near you?
Down us, by us.
That little.
Yeah,
little
but
park.
it's not,
It's so open and everything.
it's not an official, is it an official town park?
It's listed in our plan, but the thing about it is we don't typically have anybody request to rent that, but I can't remember a rental
There's been one wedding. there that I know
because of parking and getting tables and chairs and things down there. There's just like one picnic.
We even talked about, wouldn't that be cool in the spring and fall to do yoga down there?
Yes,
You know, we
it is
talked
a
about that.
nice, it's beautiful.
You know? Maybe we can talk our new instructor into that. Yeah.
Yeah, she can get out of the building a little bit.
Do we also set the rates for the boat parking, or is that somebody else?
We do, but there is, we did look at that, and I'm not saying we can't go up a bit. I can look at that again, but when the board went and looked at other places, it was kind of in line with what others were charging, except people that charged more had like full-time attendance. So I would be afraid to go up too much from where that is now.
Because the higher you pay, the more expectation there is for services. And I've been delighted to see that we've got boats periodically out there.
Yeah, there was a boat there this week.
That's what I had, Karen.
That's it.
May I ask a question while we're talking about functions and summer?
I've got a question too.
And this is, you have scheduled some weeks off, is that correct?
Not yet.
Well, no, wait a minute. I think we had this conversation. Do you have any kind of input maybe on the intern? And we would like for you to see your summer schedule. Wouldn't we, girls? And John?
I'll be glad to answer, but both a lot of ways. The intern that I had an interview with that I think I told you about, I was supposed to interview a candidate for an internship last Friday, and she sent me an email on Thursday that she accepted another internship. We have it listed. Candace was nice enough to list it through NC State. It's listed on the state website. I contacted the dean at ECU directly since I graduated from there of the school and sent the job description to them, and also said I was going to be at their summer career fair on April 9th with a table. We are looking at some other ideas in case we don't get an intern, of some relief for concerts on Sundays, and that's where I am so far. I think I answered that too.
I think you did, but you need to go in and schedule your time off.
I'm having breakfast with a gal out of the alumni office at Winthrop tomorrow morning at Purple Onion. If you've got a description of what you're looking for, I'll be glad to give it to Debbie, and she could carry it to Winthrop,
Okay.
to the department there, and see if there's anybody there that's interested.
Is the wage a little more competitive now?
It is. I feel like we can work with some hours. It definitely will be in with the budget year change, or I expect it will be if what we put forward is passed.
Okay, because, we had several people very interested, but when it came down to the hourly rate,
It
it
was.
was poverty level.
It was. And then there's pluses or minuses because, like, when I did my internship, it was unpaid, and some people do unpaid
Yeah,
internships.
they're getting
so.
those experiences, right?
You could post it with, NCRPA has a.
That we do have it.
Okay, you have it there. I figured.
The issue is housing. for
Chrissy,
somebody
tell me
that's
again when
lived out.
tie-dye starts.
Well, we talked about that in the last meeting, and I didn't include it in the minutes, but it's June the 9th.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a question related to all these events. We are dealing with some coronavirus issues with some workshops right now. Does the town and recreation have a plan for dealing with if this virus gets worse? I mean, we have a lot of events where, like tie-dye Tuesday is people with,
Mass people.
Probably
Right.
more so like the Easter egg kind of.
right, Easter egg hunt. So I just think that the town needs to have some kind of policy and procedure for keeping people safe, and then if it gets worse, are we even going to do events like tie-dye? I know it's a long way off, but I do think
You need to be thinking about
Yeah. that we need to be, we've had one case show up in North Carolina now, and
but that person is infected. How many?
that's right. Anyway, I just want to, just kind of hope y'all are thinking
I saw
about
a
it.
schematic this morning of who that one person has affected that has it now.
Yeah, but it's a recluse person that had
Huh?
effect.
Well, his wife and child and friends and the,
The school systems and everybody is really starting to blast out, and they've got plans, as to what level, at what point in time. And I know that even there was a couple of schools in Florida that considered the children won't come back to class after spring break, but they'll finish their coursework via internet, so.
No. And I know that, there needs to probably, I know that maybe some of the rental folks are getting preparing some messages because it affects a lot of other things as well. So hopefully this will kind of run its course.
Yeah, and the only answer I could give you on that this time is I know that some of the League of Municipalities and some of those folks are starting to send some information out. It would fall under, I feel like it would just fall under our emergency response plan that we usually do, which the mayor is the lead on. But I will talk to David about it and tell him that you're encountering more information about it, and talk about a policy.
Or at least think about what we're going to do or not do, or how can we have those events and still feel like we're safe and being reasonable, because I don't think we need to shut down everything, but some of those events, I don't know, I like tie-dye, everybody's there.
well, I think that by June,
Hopefully. Yeah.
no, we're gonna have a bigger spread. We're gonna have more problems than we've got now.
So,
Because it took a while in China and some of these other countries to get to the point. And the thing about China is they can deal with it because they can shut everything down because those are paid workers. In the United States, they're not. It's going.
I'm thinking out loud. I guess I'll think about that because I got together the order for the tie-dye shirts, and once you put the year on them, you're stuck. So I don't.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we just
Yeah.
need to be thoughtful and address it in the future and have, and I know the town needs to be thinking about that as well. I'm sure y'all will.
Well, I think there could come a point in time, if the virus spreads in this country, that there will be, even if you continue to have functions, there will be more of a registration process. I mean, we don't know who shows up for Tie-Dye Tuesday, but it might be that down the road, if you have these community events, there's going to be a closer look at who is there in the event they need to be
How
contacted.
about the volunteers?
Well, I'm saying a sign-in where there's a contact person and
Yeah.
the name of the participants.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be such a bad idea anyhow, because it'd give us accurate numbers. All we're doing is handing the shirt and handing the.
And you know where they come from, too.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
could do a
Yeah, you
schematic.
could very easily do sign-in sheets. I mean, I think you're gonna see more of that for a lot of things, if it gets worse.
Well, the reason I think it's going to get worse is I've seen what has happened in a week's time. We started with one and we are where we are now. And I hope I fall flat on my face.
If you're really wrong.
I hope I'm really, really, really wrong.
Christy, I've got one more thing to bring up, and it may not be within the agenda items, but I was on a park course the other day, and there's been either some vandalism or some damage done to some of the stations. It looks like, the plexiglass things have been broken on 3 of them. And I don't know if it was vandalism or a rock kicked up and hit them or just what it was. And then some of the landscaping timbers surrounding the stations are rotten.
Okay.
Louis did a survey of the bike racks, and I gave it to Christy. Because there's some bike racks that are needed, and there's some that are in bad shape, too.
That's all I have.
Our next meeting will be April 2nd at 2 o'clock. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
Second.